Hey everyone, this is Renee Frey from Talent Q, and you're listening to the Conscious Professional Podcast. More people than ever want to be happy in their career and personal life, but they're going about it all wrong. I'm here to set the record straight and emphasize the importance of prioritizing your mindset. I'm thrilled you're here. Today, I'm talking about something near and dear to my heart. And when I say that, you might be wondering what it is. And once you hear what it is, you're going to be like, what, Renee? Why is that so near and dear to your heart, Renee? Well, I'm going to explain it all in this episode. So if you remember me sharing in a previous episode, on my left inner forearm here, I have a tattoo in script that says surrender. And I got this tattoo because I was at a business seminar with my business strategy coach and my mindset coach. And my mindset coach was talking to us about resistance. And that's the topic that's near and dear to my heart. But let me explain exactly why. Because there's so much more to that, and I really want to share with you today. So my mindset coach is talking to all of us in the huge room filled with people, like 50 people. And she says, what is the opposite of resistance? And people were going around saying words, and all of a sudden, someone said surrender. And my body exploded from my heart. It exploded. I felt this incredible, enormous emotional reaction to that word. And I leaned over to the gal sitting next to me and I said, that's it. That's the word I need to get tattooed on my arm so I can remind myself every single day to surrender. You see, I used to be type AAA. I would say I've toned it down a bit as I've aged and I've grown and I've developed a greater awareness about who I am and what my desires are in the world and what I'm trying to accomplish. But I would still say I'm a very, very driven person. I like to get things done. I like to take action. I like to help people. I like to make an impact in the world. And there have been so many times in my life where I have been a total effing control freak, trying to control every single outcome, which I realized later, I can't control any outcomes. At the time, though, I was trying to control other people, trying to control my children, trying to control my employees, my friends, and all of this combined made me a total control freak. And what I realized was through years and years of deep dive development, working with a coach and doing tons of self-reflection, you name it, I've done it. I have now realized there are only two things in life that I can control. Two things, that's it. I can't control anything else. One of those things is I can control my thoughts. Yep, I'm in control of my thoughts. The second thing is I'm in control of my reaction to something. That's it. So the only two areas that I have control of, and the rest is like a soup of serendipity. The universe is working in my favor. Who knows what's going on in this invisible energy field that we can't see, right? So that's why the word resistance and the topic of resistance is so near and dear to me. So I want to peel back the onion on this a little bit more. When you feel resistance, that is an emotion you're feeling in your body where your body is saying either you don't want to do something or caution. Something is coming up to bring an awareness to you that something might not feel right. Now, if you're in a sales role and you have resistance to say you're supposed to be making 20 cold calls first thing in the morning, you arrive at your desk and you feel resistance to that. You can break through that through some mindset work. If you change the way that you're thinking about those phone calls, you can totally break through that. Call reluctance and call resistance can be overcome. That is a skill you can learn. And you can overcome that because the resistance that you're feeling in that instance might be coming up because you're thinking, oh, I don't have anything to offer them. Nobody wants to hear from me. It's all that fucking negative self-talk. When in reality, what you need to be telling yourself is, I'm one more phone call away from impacting someone's life. I'm one more phone call away to adding abundance to someone's life. I'm one phone call away from having a solution for something that someone's having problems and I can solve them. I can help them solve their problems. I'm one more call away to making my next sale. So this next type of resistance is a little different. This type of resistance turns into procrastination. In this case, it might be your emotions telling you this isn't the right direction for you to head in. And maybe you've heard this phrase. This is one of my most favorite phrases, and I think I heard it first. I think it was Tony Robbins. What you resist persists. Let me repeat that. What you resist persists. This is so true. If you put something off that you feel resistance about doing, it just sits there and flipping grows. For example, if you have a messy desk and the papers just keep piling up on your desk and you're not putting anything away, you're not throwing stuff away or filing stuff away, and your piles just keep piling up because you're resisting it, you're avoiding it, and you're procrastinating. What does that do for you? When you resist something, guess what's happening in your subconscious mind? Your subconscious mind is building a bigger case when you resist something that it's going to perpetuate into something even larger. And your subconscious mind, the longer you resist something, the more your subconscious mind totally doesn't want you to engage with it. How many of you have felt that before? I'm sure you have. You're like, oh, I'll just do this later. I'll just do that later. But guess what? Whatever the thing that you're supposed to do will sit in your mind. It still sits there in your mind, occupying space up in your head, preventing you from having space to think about something else, something more productive. And if you just did the thing that you've been needing to do, you'll be able to get rid of the resistance so it doesn't persist. So you can get it out of your head and get that feeling out of your body. The subconscious mind is so sneaky. It wants to protect us. It wants us to stay small and safe and keep doing the behaviors and the actions that we've been doing because it knows we won't die. When we step out of our comfort zones and test our subconscious, it's going to be screaming. Inside, it's basically saying, we're going to die, we're going to die. And the more you keep going and feeling uncomfortable and push through this resistance, you will hit a point where your subconscious now believes, oh, we didn't die. We are safe. And the feeling of resistance will dissolve. And now you've arrived pushing past something you wanted, but for some reason your subconscious mind wasn't initially on board with. Normally, it's never on board when you step out of your comfort zone. Now, all of this is easier said than done because I truly believe that if you're forcing yourself to do something that emotionally you truly don't want to do, then don't effing do it. That might be your way out. I give you permission. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. But now, if it's something like going back to my salesperson example, and you need to make these 20 calls every day, and that's part of your job that you're getting paid for, you better figure out how to get your mind straight to make those calls every damn day, or you're going to see yourself get fired. Now, if you try every single day Try to make the calls each day, and you've been in your sales job for like 6 months and you still can't get over the resistance, maybe it's not the right role for you. And that comes into the zone of excellence and the zone of genius. So I'm sure you've heard these phrases before. If you haven't, your zone of genius is when you are soaring with your natural talents, passions, and strengths. Tasks that you're doing come super easy to you. You are also having a ball. It's like when those people like me say, I love my job so much, I never work a day in my life. That's zone of genius. Zone of excellence is where you have a high level of skills in a specific area, but it might not be aligned with your ultimate passions, which day to day probably feels like work and effort. I myself am truly operating in my zone of genius most days. Now, I gotta tell you, being a business owner and leading a team, there's probably 20% of things that I do that aren't in my zone of genius. I've learned to delegate majority of the stuff to other people that's in their zone of geniuses because I want my whole team to be operating in their strengths. I want us all to have a flipping ball while we're at work, impacting people's lives, growing the company. This is what I want for Talent Q. Now, the rest of that 20% stuff is stuff I have to do as a business owner. I have to review my financials. I have to have conversations with my CPA. I have to review legal documents and have discussions with my attorney. But the rest of the 80%, I'm soaring with my strengths in my zone of genius, which leads me to believe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at this time, and I'm here fulfilling my purpose on this planet. You see, when I got into recruiting, I knew I had a love of people, which I also realized was very unique when I was in high school. I had friends. You know, in high school, there's all these cliques. And I grew up in a town, we had like, I think 500 kids roughly in my graduating class. And it was pretty cliquey. You had the sporty kids, you had the rich kids, you had the preppy kids, you had the alternative kids or the goth kids, you had the nerds. You know, you remember this, right? We had all these different cliques of people. But me, I had friends in every single different clique and every group. At the time, I thought that's what you were supposed to do because I loved people for who they are. I have always accepted people for who they are. And I think that stems from my mom being deaf and being raised by her and seeing all the adversity that she faced. Like the time we were shopping, if we're at Macy's at the checkout line and the cashier was trying to communicate with my mom, and then she wouldn't even look my mom in the eye when she knew she couldn't speak English. And so she would only look at me while I had to step in and interpret for her. And I noticed and I've seen that my mom had all this adversity because of her disability of being deaf, which she doesn't see as a disability. She was always so welcoming of every single person. My mom has what I call the it factor. She is this warm, loving soul. Anyone who meets her just adores her. She just has this way with people. She makes you feel so good. She compliments everyone and she means it. She's just the most genuine, warm, kind-hearted person that I know. And I'm sure it's because of that I became accepting of every single human being. I see all of us as equal. I see all of us as having the most extraordinary potential inside of us. I truly, truly believe this. So in high school, yeah, I had some friends who would give me flack. They're always like, Renee, you're always attracting the weirdos. Renee, you're friends with different people in all different groups. What the hell was wrong with that? I think it benefited me well because I was a nice person. And it didn't matter how you dressed. It didn't matter the color of your skin, what religion you were. I accepted you for who you were, and I think that's an incredible belief to have. Nowadays, as I've moved forward, and I've been out of high school for several decades. Now I feel like that is one of my unique gifts. There's so many people that have biases and judgment on people by the way they look, by the way they dress, by what they believe, and blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? We all have the same blood running through our veins. This is the exact same fucking blood as your neighbor next door, so who cares? Why can't we all just accept people for who they are? That's all I want. I want to live my life and be who I am, be allowed to feel free to be who I am. And I'm so fortunate that I've been able to do that my whole life. I've never been afraid to be me. Now I put the most incredible support people around me, like my husband. He undoubtedly loves me for who I am, and that allows me to feel an incredible sense of freedom, love, and support. Now, I haven't had that in every work situation. I have had to temper who I am at certain workplaces and certain situations. Because if I did let out the real me, I'm super loud. I speak my mind. I'm really direct. Some of that I had to modify or temper in certain work situations so that I could still excel within those different corporate cultures. But I still never, ever have apologized for who I am. I've never needed to, nor does anyone listening to this. Nobody ever needs to apologize for being who they are and as human beings. We are so incredibly dynamic. Do you realize that your personality changes when you're with a different friend? You notice that one friend might bring out extreme high energy and positivity out of you, and your next friend that you meet might act super chill and you'll be cool, calm, and collected and relaxed. Our social interactions bring out different parts of our personality. At times, which is so amazing about being a human being, because we get to choose who we want to be in any given moment. It's remarkable. Now, if you take that and you figure out really who you want to be in every given situation before you get in the situations, then you're going to live the most fulfilling life possible, because you're going to maximize every single interaction you have throughout your day. Now, can we be that intentional and thoughtful and conscious throughout our entire day? Maybe, maybe not. It might get a little exhausting. However, you can certainly do it on your drive to your next business meeting or on your drive to the next networking event. You damn well better be thinking about preparing for what you're going to say, how you're going to present yourself, because that's how you maximize the time when you get there and maximize how you're showing up. And some of you might think I'm crazy. Like, oh, Renee, I can't change my identity in an instant. Yes, the fuck you can. You know how to do this? You change the thoughts that you're thinking, and you step into the identity and the thoughts of who you want to become. How do they think? How do they act? That future you. Be the future you now. And that's how you'll manifest everything in your life. That's how it happens. You can create anything in your life if you step into the identity of who you want to be and do it today, right now. You also may be saying, well, people will see I'm being different or fake. No, they won't. They're too worried and wrapped up in themselves to even notice. All right, I want to go back to Zone of Genius and Zone of Excellence, and I have an activity for you. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, and on the paper, draw a straight line down the middle of the page. And on the left side of the page, write down Zone of Excellence. And on the right side at the top, write down zone of genius. I want you to take some time and under each column, identify things that you're currently doing at work and which category they fall under, okay? And you might find you have a bigger list under the zone of excellence. It means that you're not currently working in your zone of genius, which is why you may be feeling so much resistance every day. Look at which column has the most things in it. You'll quickly see if you're operating mostly in your zone of excellence or if you're operating mostly in your zone of genius. If you listed more things in the zone of excellence side, you got to find ways to transition more into the zone of genius. That's where you'll get the fulfillment. Figure out ways to do more with your natural abilities that you were given to provide the world. If you're wondering how to do this, ask your boss for a stretch assignment that aligns with your zone of genius. Have a development meeting with your boss and clearly communicate to them what your natural talents and strengths are. Often as employees, we think our leaders know everything. They know our true strengths. They know our passions. Guess what? They may or may not. So communicate what they are to them. Never assume anything. Take the initiative and communicate it to them. It will be a great discussion. Taking the time to recognize the difference between your zone of excellence and your zone of genius is just one of the first steps you can take towards a more fulfilling and productive career. Taking the time to evaluate where you spend most of your energy can help you make the necessary shifts to operate more in your zone of genius, where your natural talents and passions are, where you can feel like you're not working. Don't be afraid to have those important conversations with your boss or seek out opportunities that align with your strengths. Your professional growth and personal satisfaction depend on it. So I want you to try this activity and let it relieve some of the weight of resistance that you've had on yourself. So the key points from today's episode are: the only two things you can control are your thoughts and your reactions. The feeling of resistance is simply an emotion indicating a direction your mind is encouraging you to go in. Identifying your zones of genius and excellence can help alleviate the pressure of resistance. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Share this episode with someone you love and go make one change to be better than you were yesterday. Live your life with intention. I believe in you. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible. So if you would, please hit the follow button so we can grow our community of conscious professionals. Whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can find the button at the top of the page. See you next week, everyone. Cheers.